to some other stories. But I thank you, Joyita and Ambassador, for that perspective on this issue. Now, let's take a look at who the writer of this op-ed really is, because remember that this is an opinion piece in the Aftenposten. So, let's look at who actually has posted this, whose views is this newspaper actually projecting. Let's look at who Frank Rosovic is. He is a writer of the op-ed, a sneaky and slightly annoying man, in which the racist cartoon was published. So, he was the writer of the op-ed piece. He is a 61-year-old Norwegian journalist and writer with a master's degree in international politics. So, he has a master's degree in international politics and he is a journalist in Norway, and like his fellow journalist had been in fact stating that this is apparently the freest press in the world. Now, he has been working as a chief foreign affairs commentator at Aftenposten since 2016. So, since the past 10 years, he has been associated with Aftenposten. He is commenting on various international issues, and this also comes in as an opinion piece in that newspaper. Now, early career, let's look at where he worked before. He's worked as a journalist in Rogalands Avis in 1987 to 1988. So, for 1 year he was in Rogalands Avis over there. After that, he served as press secretary for the Socialist Left Party until 1990. So, we see his leading. He is was serving as a press secretary for the Socialist Left Party for 2 years over there in the 1990s. Then he worked across multiple media outlets including Bladet, Tromsø, Vaterland and Bergens Tidende. So, he has worked across multiple media platforms over the years, held roles in European Movement Norway and Gambit as information director and consultant from 1992 to 1996. He also has some senior journalism roles like editor at the Morgenbladet, political editor at the Bergens Tidende 2013. So, he has been holding some senior journalistic roles as well. He has written about 11 books, including acclaimed biographies of Norwegian political figures. His 2007 biography of Inar Forte, who won the Brog Prize. So, he's in fact even written books. He's won a prize for one of his biographies as well, and he has been writing about Norwegian politicians. So, this is something that we are in fact looking at. This is the same person who has made that xenophobic stereotype against all of Indians if you are portraying the Prime Minister of India in such a way. Let me go across to my colleague Yash Ahuja, who has more information on this. Yash, obviously we are looking at this writer and his profile. So, he has held a lot of senior journalistic roles, and he is also written books. This person seems to put out such a racist opinion piece about the Prime Minister of one of the largest democracies in the world.
Very rightly pointed out, Shivani, we have seen this happen again and again from the Firangi media that we call them. They school us on freedom of press, they school us on the freest press in the world, yet they post these xenophobic and racist cartoons of a head of state. Prime Minister Modi was given Norway's highest civilian honor. It was his 34th highest civilian honor from any nation, and they are the same nation's media is calling him snake charmer, is showing him as a snake charmer. We saw it happened yesterday also when a Norwegian journalist heckled Prime Minister Modi. They tried to stop him for a reaction. They tried that they could get a reaction from the Prime Minister, and now we see a racist snake charmer cartoon being published from Aftenposten. Speaking about Aftenposten, Aftenposten is Norway's largest printed quality newspaper. It was founded in 1860 by one Christian Schibsted. It is based in Oslo, and it is a conservative editor. It has a conservative editorial stance. It focuses mainly on in-depth national news. It also has a major digital subscription media house, and it is owned by the Schibsted Media Group. It has over 250,000 digital subscribers with over 20,000 daily readers. And it is, in Europe, it is quote-unquote trusted for serious journalism and analysis. If this is what they call serious journalism, making a cartoon, making a racist bigotry cartoon of a head of state, I mean, there's your answer for what the Firangi media is, what it is actually.
Absolutely. So when we are looking at this entire, row that has erupted, obviously there are some major questions that need to be answered. If, we should look at an apology from Aftenposten for posting this, if it's right of the media to depict a leader like the Prime Minister of India in such a way, even if it's a cartoon. This does not seem to be in very good taste. Let me go across to my colleague Brian Thomas, who's also joining us for more on this. Brian, we are looking at this, apparent racist cartoon that has been published in a Norwegian newspaper. What more details could you give us?
Shivani, this controversy surrounding this Norwegian newspaper, Aftenposten, has now snowballed into a larger debate on racism, colonial mindset, the stereotype, and again the portrayal of India in the sections of these very media houses that they are publishing. And this controversial cartoon that shows the Prime Minister, as a snake charmer during his very official visit to Norway, we got sharp backlash across social media, diplomatic circles, and among Indian commentators itself. This is extremely racist, and this also clearly, this row erupted at a sensitive diplomatic moment during the Prime Minister's five-nation Europe tour, especially after a separate controversy also that involved Norwegian journalist Heli Ling. Not only that, India's Ministry of External Affairs strongly pushed back against the criticism, where even many such diplomats defended India's democratic structure, highlighting the scale of India's media ecosystem with hundreds of TV channels and multilingual journalism across the country. Not only that, very important, the cartoon itself became the main flashpoint online, where critics across social media described it as blatantly racist, xenophobic, and reflective of a lingering colonial mindset within parts of Europe's elite media. Several commentators argued that portraying India through snake charmer imagery ignored the country's rise as a global economic, technological, and political power. Not only that, it also, again, if you talk about the incident, it's also revived memories of a similar controversy that happened back in 2022 when a Spanish newspaper used a snake charmer symbolism while reporting on India's economic growth. Analysts say such imagery has historically been linked to colonial era portrayals of India designed to depict the country as mystical, backward, uncivilized. And again, ironically also, PM Modi has himself has repeatedly spoken about this very stereotype in his international speeches. During his very famous 2014 address at the Madison Square Garden, he remarked that India was once seen globally as a land of snake charmers, but had transformed into a nation of mouse charmers, referring India's rise in information technology and innovation, and that quote has resurfaced heavily online after this very cartoon controversy broke out. Yes.
Absolutely, Brian. You brought out this example. Well, earlier too, we saw, Western media sort of portraying India in such a light. I want to understand, has there been any sort of update, apology, or, from the side of Aftenposten after this post was in fact put out?
Really, if you talk about the specific the website, the newspaper, while I was also scrolling through Instagram and their platform X, I could not see that image anymore. As of now, if you talk about an official apology or public retraction from the Afton Poston over the controversial cartoon depicting Prime Minister as a sneak charmer, the newspaper has not yet, excuse me, has not yet issued any clarification defending or withdrawing the illustration so far. However, the backlash has continued to grow online with many commentators, diaspora members and social media users accusing the publication of promoting racist, colonial era stereotypes about India. Critics now arguing that while political satire is acceptable in democracies, but using sneak charmer imagery crossed the line into racial caricature and even cultural prejudice. And this has now even evolved beyond just cartoon itself. It has just become a part of a larger debate how sanctions of Western media portray India and non-Western leaders. Several commentators pointed out that India has frequently been shown through outdated colonial stereotypes despite its rise as a major economic and technological power itself. Yes.
Right, Brian. Please do stay on with us. In fact, we are also being joined by Minister Narendra. Sir, we are discussing this cartoon that has in fact been published over by the Norwegian newspaper. It depicts the Prime Minister in a certain type of a stereotype, a snake charmer. Do you believe that this is something that the freest media of the world is allowed to do, depict a certain leader of a country in such a way?
There has to be a freedom of expression. So I do not have a problem media expressing their views. That's what it's all about. And every prime minister, every chief minister, great leaders of the world need to understand what has been said to Julius Caesar when he won a great battle. And when he came and there was a victory party, there was a guy who is sitting, everybody is praising him. There was a guy sitting right next to him and said, this too will pass, this too will pass. I think the leaders need to be told that they are leaders, they are elected by the people, but they need to be answerable to the people of the country and the world all the time. It is an integrated world. So I don't necessarily agree with the depicting of our Prime Minister as a snake charmer alone. However, I think the Prime Minister has been avoiding because he is able to talk to people directly. But what happens in those kind of circumstances, not only our Prime Minister, Chief Minister Jayalalitha did that, and several leaders are now, who are very popular, are able to reach out to the people directly with a change in technology and social media, are avoiding being questioned by the media. Media or intermediaries, they are avoiding it. I don't mind they avoiding it, but they need to be questioned. It cannot be an echo chamber where they are living on only one thing. They, the leaders of particularly the popular leaders of the world and the state, have realized that they don't have to. Media has lost its credibility because they are also paid money. They are run by partisan politics. But I think the Prime Minister has to answer the question. In my opinion, the media has a right to depict, but they need to do it with a certain amount of responsibility.
So don't you think that there should be certain kind of brevity as well, because this is a stereotype that India in fact has broken, this depicting the Prime Minister of the country which is making technological progress.
I think you are absolutely right. That's why I added the media has to have a responsibility. They are losing their face and they are losing the importance they deserve, the fourth pillar, because they are not being very objective. But sometimes you need to show, go to the extreme to drive a point to make the people understand. If the media has not depicted our Prime Minister, which I disagree with, today, we will not be talking about this today. It's important for the Prime Minister to answer the questions of the people, and unfortunately, they don't answer the people directly. So the media is the people's representative. As such, media has a responsibility, and they need to act with responsibility. And in this case, I think they should have acted better.
Absolutely. So, if I can again get your opinion, do you believe that there should be some kind of correction or an apology, say for example, from Afton Poston, sir?
Absolutely right. I think it will be stupid of the media to, I think they could have said the same thing, the Prime Minister not answering the thing, rather through the traditional wrong view of depicting India and the Indian Prime Minister. But they should make a point that the Prime Minister should answer the question. I think it is provocative. It has served its purpose, and both the Prime Minister and media has to understand the responsibility. I hope they do.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and for speaking to NewsX. Well, we're looking at, this entire controversy that has erupted right now. And obviously, we are looking at a lot of reactions that are coming in. Responsible journalism is one of the facets that should be followed. In fact, when we are looking at the Norwegian media, they call themselves as the freest media, but shouldn't they in fact also be responsible to not depict the leader of a country in a stereotypical and racist way? All right, with that, viewers, we are slipping into a short commercial.